So, what about hustle culture broke you to make you defect and be your own boss? And you know what I mean?
Or here could be like a question that makes people like really think deep is where do you find your value? Like where do you place your value in life personally? There's no wrong or right answers. Like where because I feel like if you get to the bottom of that, most people would say like if they really had to think about it, they would have to say, oh, like my job, money,
hmm
and because how society is set up, like
I would think so as well. It's like
but we can
hustle.
yeah,
Yeah. But hey guys, welcome
ah,
back to Unmasked and Unchained. I'm Chris.
I'm Kaylee.
And today we're discussing hustle culture. The rise and grind, the sleep when I'm dead, like work, 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 get there's accrue money, accrue status, accrue title, like that ideology of that you need to own a home, a nice car, have that big family, go on those big vacations.
Can I say like the Andrew Tates of the world really fueled that? Am I allowed to mention that? Those
I
people.
don't even know who that is.
You don't know who Andrew Tate?
Who is
Don't you
he?
don't want to. He is like the in chart. Yeah, I'm sure you. Yeah, he's just like a I don't know what you would call. He's just a terrible person, a podcast or whatever. That is like very toxic masculinity, hustle culture. Like
See,
you have to have a Lambo to get girls. Like
that's like
just the
all
most
those guys'
toxic. Yes, that's
podcasts.
what I'm
Like,
saying. Like all those guys, like not just like it's just really just the last. I don't know. I've seen it like the last 5, 10 years like gotten really bad.
mm. I kind of realize that when I'm starting to listen to other people that do have podcasts, especially other single men or
Hmm.
singular men that are giving the podcast,
Hmm.
and it's like they're also very opinionated and very like driven. Like, but I'm like, where are you learning this? Where are you getting this? And that's kind of what I thought of when I decided that we should do a podcast.
Hmm.
It's like I don't want to just be a guy telling people like what I think they should do.
Right,
Or like this is what you got to do if you
right.
want to do this. It's more like I want to have an expose on who we are as human beings, how we work, how what has made you functionable, what has
Yeah.
made other people successful that are in our shoes, and really teach people and
Our
bring
lived
light.
experiences.
Exactly. And it's like I
I'm gonna
understand,
put on lip gloss.
but I understand they're like teaching their lived experiences, but at the same time, I feel they're driving this mentality of this hustle culture, this that you need to grind, grind, grind. You got to be able to afford the woman, like that kind of stuff. And it's like just so toxic all over, packaged up that you think you want it. It's like, you want the big high rise in
Right.
Miami and the
Because it
Lambo, like
looks
you
so,
said.
that's all you see on social media. Everyone flaunting that. It looks so fun. They're partying. They have all the girls, the guys. Like, who wouldn't want that? From the
Exactly.
outside, who wouldn't want that?
But it's like, even, I'm sure I know I can say that I've gotten to those points or met those
Mm-hmm.
people at those parties, you
Mm-hmm.
know, uh, you finagle your way sometimes and you're just like, wow, these people are very empty. They're very like still searching. They don't know what they're looking for. They have all this wealth and all these things and all this accessibility and all this availability. And it's just like they still can't find the purpose in their being. And like they don't
And still not happy. Like,
exactly, they're
their
shallow.
bills are paid, but their soul is empty. Like, let's be honest.
And it's not their fault. It's more like
No,
how they were raised and
it's society. Yeah.
and like you want to keep the money, you got to act this way, and you got to stuff who you are deep down inside. So really,
Hmm.
they're not flourishing from their authenticity. They're flourishing from a mask. They're still, and then when you're financially secure, like lots of people can, I'm sure, attain to this, that you've been in relationships that you put on a mask to obtain that security,
Hmm.
and that is really why you see people that feel so empty because they're no longer living for themselves or living for someone else or living for that one attribute of safety or security
Hmm.
or maybe multiples, but it's like if you have to change yourself for something else, is it really worthwhile?
Right.
Because you're still searching for
Because what are
meaning.
you doing it for at the end of the day? Because if you have to change yourself, you're not doing it for yourself then.
And I will say with a proper attitude, like money comes when you need it. Like I've never been
Mm-hmm.
like if I needed money, I've been able to get it or find it, and it's not even like asking parents or
Yeah.
people for loans either. It's
Mm-hmm.
just like I went out and oh, I just made $1,000. Like I needed that. That was
Yeah.
crazy. So it's like really reassuring that it's like don't sell your soul for a dollar, you
You
know?
don't have to.
Because
You don't
honestly, if
have
you
to.
live and flourish who you are, you can make so much. Like, and it's
Mhm.
just so much more rewarding, I think,
It
to live that
is.
way. You know, even if you're not making tons of money, it's just like you're
You're getting paid like mental health wise. Like
Mhm.
I will even say this, and not to cut you off, but like that's why I have been spending so much time at the shelter, Desert Tales in Scottsdale, and it has just been. I don't make any money from it. I don't. If anything, I lose money from it. But it has been such just like my whole life has changed. Like I know it sounds so silly, and so like savior complex, and that's not what I mean at all. But
It's being about something other than yourself.
I actually finally have something that I'm truly passionate about that and it doesn't feel like work.
No,
So like I could spend all day there. It doesn't feel like work. It because I love it. And I know that it's all done ethically and for the betterment of society. Like there's just so many reasons. And I wish more people could experience that. I feel like almost I hate to say, like 99% of the population is just trapped in the rat race.
they are, and it's
Can't get
because
out.
you're the cheese that's dangled in front of
Ugh.
them, and the ideology that you can work for what you need in this life, and you can live that corporate life or stay a worker, but you really can't. It's like it's you build it up on credit, and they just give you this credit, that's so easily to get indebted to because it's
Mhm.
like even starting out like getting a credit card, they're like, "Oh, here's $20,000." I was like, "What? That's crazy!" And of course, I used it,
Right?
and because I was like 22 and out
You're
of
like,
college,
can I push that to
traveling the
40?
world, like, of course I used it, and I'm still regretful for that and I paid it off now, but it's like finance is a whole nother thing, especially when you're neurodivergent and you're
Oh,
impulsive spending.
I was gonna say, like, that's a whole nother like
Oh, we'll talk about
podcast.
that later. Financing. Yeah, or
Ooh.
finances in general. Like that is something we do need to talk about with tips and tricks that I need to still am learning,
Same,
and
same,
we should have
still.
somebody come talk to us.
We should. That would be actually that would be I would
Teach
appreciate that
all
for
of
me.
us. I would too. And I'm slowly learning, and you know, you think it's easier than you let it on to believe because we are in this rat race, and that leads into like where the impulsive spending is like we strain ourselves and drain ourselves so much to just thrive or survive. Not even
To
thrive,
yeah, not even thrive,
survive.
just to fit in and survive.
Mhm.
I mean, it's constantly pushed down our throats. If you rest, you're lazy, and then you have
Exactly.
to carry guilt and shame. And there's just so much weirdness around stuff that we should be doing. We should be resting. We should be taking care of ourselves. We should not be overworking ourselves. Like, that's just the basics.
Yeah, it's just like we weren't even taught these basics in as children, and our parents didn't know to teach us even. And
Hmm.
now we're learning it, luckily, in our adulthood, that it's like we can't just go, go, go. Like we spoke
But
before,
unfortunately,
like
we have to learn it the hard way, though.
exactly, like a lot of, like we spoke last episode, that how more and more people reach for Adderall that are not neurodivergent or needing of it, and just because they need to maintain this lifestyle of go, go, go hustle culture, and it led to, the misdiagnosing or oversimplifying of symptoms of real people who need it,
Hmm.
and then they go without. But it's definitely like this hustle culture creating the need for impulse spending even more so because I'm so drained at trying to keep up
Hmm.
and keep up my job and have a social life and work out and like have a home life and go on vacation. It's just so much. And it's like you need to you get those little treats for yourself. It's
Of
like a
those
smoothie
dopamine
here,
hits. Yeah.
yeah, a smoothie here, donut here, wrap here, and you're spending all this money and it just keeps you indebted. And it's like, oh, I gotta go pay that off. And then it's a rat race. Like you said, it's just a loop.
Yep. Which brings us to our next thing, the impact on neurodivergence specifically. Why do you think it impacts? people with our brain more so.
We are wired to defect against the machine. Like, it's weird. Like, I didn't know it was a neurodivergent thing till I learned it.
Hmm.
And I'm like, it
Same.
doesn't matter any kind of organized, like organization of like how I need to act and be. I would always question it and read it, be
It's
like,
like authority.
yeah,
Like,
it's like, I
yeah.
don't see how this applies to me. I'm not even going to do this, but
Or
like,
like, that's not fair,
no,
stuff
that's
like
not
that.
fair. And it's just stuff like that that I just, I decided world is shades of gray. It's not black and white, but that's how I see it. And I stay to my moral code, which I think is pretty ethically sound.
So, yeah.
You know, as long as you're respecting yourself and others, I don't think you have to worry about much. It's that
Right.
golden rule. It's like,
it really doesn't have to be that difficult.
it doesn't. It doesn't. It's literally that one simple rule: respect yourself, respect others,
Yeah.
and life's gonna be great.
Yeah.
It's not that difficult, and
I
that's
know.
what we have to unfuck ourselves from.
Yes, thank you.
And from that idea of hustle culture will get us where we want to be. That will create our heaven, like on earth. That we will have that big house. But you know what? You are always hustling to maintain those things as well. And the more you work and the more money you get, the more you spend. You just level up. I've had jobs where I've made six figures. All of a sudden, I'm like, well, where to go?
I've made
comes
jobs
tax
like
time,
that.
and I'm like,
Yes.
well, I don't know where the money went. Why do I owe you so much?
I am still in that exact position.
It's like, I don't
Yes.
think I made that much. And it's like, oh, wait, I see it. And it's like, oh, I went on this trip, I went on this trip because I worked harder. So I had to maintain more and I had to show up
And you
more
have to,
at this
yes, show
more
up.
important job.
Mhm.
So they encourage vacations, but that encourages you to spend and that encourages you to come back and work harder. And
They
it's
want your
literally
social
just,
media to look good, so you need a nice car, you need a good background, a house, you need to be on the beach. And you can't get out. So like, and then you're trying to keep up with everyone around you now because everyone around you is now successful now that you're successful. And if you become unsuccessful, that's like
you get
that you
shamed.
get
You get
ostracized.
shamed. You
Oh
can't keep
yeah.
up with us. Bye. And that's the unfortunate part. You look at housewives all the time. It's like,
Mhm.
you lost your money. Blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah. That's why I can't watch that shit.
I know.
But anyways, to each their own. But for neurodivergent specifically, I think we're just in a system that's built against us, and we automatically either have to endure and we self-medicate even more, and you get more addictive behaviors because we're trying to say we're not correct and we need to be correct because our bosses are saying work harder, try harder. Why aren't you doing this? You need to show up here. Why aren't you able to do all this? And then I need to go to the gym, so I'm mentally healthful. But it's like it gets to be so much that you just shut down and you go into functional freeze and you show up and
Functional freeze.
you're like showing up in
Mm.
autopilot and you're just like going through the motions, but you're checked out. Like,
Yeah, can we explain that real quick? Because I don't think if people haven't experienced it, or even people that have experienced it, I don't think a lot of people know what functional freeze means. Because when I explain it to people, they're like, "Why don't you just do it then? Like if you can't get out of bed, like just get out of bed. Like why is it so
well,
hard?"
it's
And
not
I'm like,
even like just getting out of bed.
right.
Like at the most extreme level, yes. But
Mhm.
it's also like going through the motions in autopilot. Like
Mhm.
you're in freeze because you don't know what to do.
Yes.
You know you're okay living this life because you understand the devil that's in it, and you're not okay with chancing the unknown yet.
Mhm.
So, or you haven't gotten enough confidence to push yourself to move out of this space. And really, it's about building that confidence in your authenticity and who you are and who you show up as, not what the system makes you believe.
Always back to the authenticity, always.
Always. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, life is not hard. You just listen to your intuition. Like, listen to what you want. Like, don't overthink it. Don't second guess it. Don't keep fucking yourself. Just let it go. And it's the hardest part is breaking out of this hustle culture. So for me, like, what broke me out of hustle culture
Yeah.
was the idea of trying to go to medical school. And then when I didn't get in and I ran away with the circus and I went, it was Marvel Universe Live.
I love that.
Yeah. And it was a superhero traveling stunt show that traveled the world. And it was so cool. I did it for 5 years. And even I moved into the sales and was like, because you made high commission and I made
Mhm.
six figures there.
Okay.
And it's like, still this idea like, if I can't be a doctor, at least I can make a lot of money.
Right.
And then when I got off a tour, I moved into fine dining and was still able to keep those six figures, but it still wasn't making me happy.
Mhm.
Like I was like, I've got the money, I've got the trips, I've got the things,
Yeah, you have
got
all
the
the
apartment,
things.
got the car. And I'm like, I'm more unhappy than I've ever been because now I'm stressed. I got to keep it up at work to keep these things maintained.
Mhm.
And I think as a neurodivergent, that made me defect and say, you know what? I want to regulate my nervous system. I want to be healthy. Actually, the universe kicked me out. I got fired from a couple
That the
jobs.
universe, like that's what happened to me too. The universe just forced it on
Yeah,
me.
I kind of got fired from a couple jobs because I stopped showing up mentally to work. I was on
Uh-huh.
that functional freeze, and they read
Yes.
it on my face, even though I was doing the
Just
jobs,
done.
getting the good critiques. But like, they could see me like show up to a table and put on this mask, and then
Hmm.
walk away, and it just melt away. And I was like, I'm sorry, I can't smile from here at the cash register because I'm not that happy to be here, but I need to pay myself. I need to feed myself. So, it became the thing that it's like, okay, Chris, you shouldn't be doing things that don't align with you because you want more out of life. You don't want money is not everything. You want that work-life balance. You need to fulfill your soul. Leads into that volunteering, you
Hmm.
know. That's I've never felt more good about myself since I gave outside of myself,
Hmm. Yeah.
even coaching, even doing this. It's like I
Yeah.
love
It's just so much more rewarding.
the most rewarding thing to me is not a dollar. It's seeing somebody fix what they're plagued with and now they've realigned their lives to be more functioning for them.
Yeah.
That's rewarding.
That is, especially, okay, so my experience with hustle culture, I got pregnant when I was 18. I had my son when I was 19. And so I would work like three jobs at a time for so many years and was not making a lot of money, but just to make ends meet. I finally got a big break. I started making a lot of really good money for me. And I had everything. Like I had a house. Like I had everything paid for. Everyone was like, "Oh my gosh." But I just didn't feel happy and I couldn't put a word on it, but I would always like tell my parents that I'd be like there's just something like I don't know, like I can't and so I would just start like giving my and I'm not saying this is like a savior complex thing. I like would feel gross about the money and I would just start like giving it away. And that's actually how I met Desert Tales. Because years ago I like started a fundraiser for them and then like matched the amount and
Uh,
gave them this check. And so that's what started kind of like our real friendship.
I may say great for you because I feel like that's what people with money that have extra that should, make sure you're okay, secure, but you should
Mhm.
also be giving back.
Yeah.
Like, especially for something you care about. I feel like that's that karmic cycle.
Yes, karmic cycle's huge. And after all these after all this time,
One
the
second.
dim light for the dramatic story. Okay, cue the music. I just got burnt out. I didn't know I couldn't put my finger on what was wrong with me, but I started experiencing skill regression and I started not being able to do things that were normally very easy for me to do, even like checking the mail, checking my phone. The smallest of tasks were so daunting, and I had no idea what was going on with me. This was before I was diagnosed. And so the reason why I got diagnosed was because I finally found a EMDR therapist who is amazing, and she was like, "You're neurodivergent," and I was like, "What?" And I have no idea, even like hardly what that meant. She's like, "No, you have autism, but you also have ADHD, and we call that ADHD." And I was like, "Oh no, because no, I'm crazy." But it's like a different I'm more just like mentally crazy. Like all the autistic kids that I knew growing up were just so sweet and I always got along with them, but now I know why. It was because I was one of them. I just didn't know. I was an undercover neurotypical. And so I finally got the diagnosis. It was hard for me to accept at first because of the hustle culture, the lifestyle I had built. It made me feel so shameful that I was experiencing skill regression and then me having to tell people why and then them not knowing what autism is and so they just automatically judge you. And it was such a weird thing and I just completely just like kaputzed like mentally and had to start from ground zero, and that was probably just like a year and a half ago. And I'm so much happier and fulfilled now, even though I don't make a fraction of what I used to make. Yet everything
I know.
is just taken care of. And I
The
just,
universe
it's so
moves
weird.
in order that you need it. That's what I'm saying. The money comes when you need it, when you
Yeah.
stop forcing it.
And when you be authentic, because you attract the right people, the right jobs, the right
When
everything.
you're a kind person putting good out into the world, you receive that back tenfold. Like
That's what I
even
teach my son.
like
Yep.
that is just like almost a fact at this point that I've
Yeah.
experienced. Like it's ridiculous. Like
Oh, it's happened too many times to not be true.
exactly. There's like so much to a spirituality, and if you haven't experienced it, you have. You're just not admitting it to yourself.
You're just not paying attention.
You're just not paying attention, and there's lots of those coincidences that you pay attention that it's really too hard to be so coincidental so much. Like I really experienced so much greatness, but even through hardships, I have lessons,
Mhm.
you know, and so much clarity comes through those hardships, you know,
Yes.
and it's not just for nothing, you know, it does,
Mhm.
it leads me to that next level in life,
Yeah.
you know, even though it's tough, you know, we come out
Mhm.
victorious, you know, and we try to.
Always.
So just like this hyperfixation on burnout and like um, hyperfixation leading to burnout, trying to keep up with the hustle culture and
Mhm.
such, you know, the actual cost costing you your health, you know, early heart attacks and
Yeah.
just like
For me, it cost. I lost
cancer,
my
like
last house. Like, if I'm gonna be really honest on here, nobody knows. I literally had to walk away from my last house because I was in such severe burnout, functional freeze, undiagnosed at this point that I literally couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't even like brush my. I could not do normal functioning
no, and that
things.
there goes your relationships. They just dissolve because they don't know
Everything
how to
was
help you
gone.
because they feel that you need to help them.
Hmm.
And it's like, okay, if no adults here, like this is just gonna dissolve. Like I
Yeah.
don't know about you, but
And then I
every
would put
time,
on a mask the
yeah,
weeks that I would have my son. So I have him 50-50. And so for that week, I would have to just muster up all my strength, put on a mask. But I was just on autopilot. Like I wasn't actually in the moment. I was just surviving enough to make it to next week so I can just lay in bed and do nothing. And that was just my life for a
agree.
while.
And I was vicious to my partner at the time.
Yes.
Like I wake up in the morning just like don't talk to me right now. I just spent all day draining myself for strangers, you know what I mean? And it's not even fair to them, really, you know, because then you're like, why do people leave me? Why am I like this? Why can't I just be normal? And it's like, well,
And then
because
the
you're in
guilt
this,
and shame comes in.
it's so
Oh,
bad. Like, and I had my therapist help me figure it out that it's like, these people are here to show you yourself and to be the mirrors. The relationships, the closest ones to you, show you about what you need to work on the most because you have it that close. And when you have do butt heads, you're really needing to step back and see what's up here. And a lot of it is I needed a better work-life balance so I could show up better for my relationship. Like it's I really hard for me to go drain myself for somebody all day, then come home and just do the basic necessities for life, like feed yourself, clothe yourself, or like, you
right.
know, and then like try to make it to a gym and then to have someone else like on the other side of that, like that you have to put on a mask for because they can't handle
That's the hardest
well,
part.
because who can
Mhm.
handle that raw,
Right. Yeah, you don't even blame
emotionally
them.
unstable? Like I can't handle it. I hate
Right.
that person,
Yeah.
you know. So I can't expect someone to just sit there and be my punching bag
Right.
just because I need to make this money, just because, you know. And really, I want that relationship, and I didn't
Mhm.
find out about that till I got out of the rat race, and I'm like, okay, now I know how to show up calmly, collectively to my relationship, to the people that care the most to me.
Right.
And when they say something, I won't take that as an objection, rejection, or
Right.
like an attack on me.
Yes.
It's about what they're going through and
Mhm.
how they are projecting or displaying that to me.
Well,
You know,
and if they didn't care, they would just be a yes man and just not care.
yeah,
They would
but
just go along with anything you do. I've had to learn that because I used to get so like defensive when people would like bring stuff up, even if they didn't mean it in like a bad way. I would just automatically get so defensive, feel attacked.
so defensive for no reason. And I'm
Mhm.
like, why? And I would
Yes.
catch myself actually.
Mhm.
Well, this is where cannabis came in. Like I would go and smoke, and all of a sudden, it's like I would be able to step outside myself and catch myself, and be like,
Right.
Chris, this is what you're doing.
Yeah.
Why are you so worked up? This it's so crazy how I don't like to push drugs on people, but that is a reason it's legalized too. It's not just like it does help with mental health, especially if you meet a lot of people like us. We do like to smoke weed. We like to
There's a
drink, and then
lot
we grow
of
up
people
and we
that use
start
it as
smoking weed.
medicine, right? No, but there are a lot of people that truly use it as medicine. Like I hate even calling it the D word because it's a plant. It's
It is a
it's it's a
plant.
plant. It can be abused just like anything. If you are under the age, don't do it.
Definitely,
But
you should be like over 25 before you smoke weed.
have your
That's
brain
my
be
suggestion.
developed.
Yes, be developed, fully developed. And I waited till I was like 28, really, because I didn't even know that.
I
I
was
just
like
wasn't
I was like
interested.
14.
And then I was really a drinker in my 20s,
I
and that was
wasn't a
just so
drinker. I was more of a
toxic.
smoker, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I went the opposite way.
Until I got older, then I became more because like clubs and stuff.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, but it is
Hmm.
interesting how it all, like getting on the outside of hustle culture and really living to live life instead of living to
Instead of living
a version
a
of life.
billionaire's life or a corporation's life,
Trying
living
to keep,
their life,
yeah,
live your life. How about that?
yeah, where we got to pay down payments and payment plans just to obtain like passes to events these days. Like they're so unobtainable,
Hmm.
or you really have to plan it out. Which I mean, it's good to plan it out, but it just shows you it's so expensive. You can't do anything for. You can't do a trip for under $2,000 a person.
You can't even go to the zoo. Like you can't do
Have you
anything.
ever seen Disney? Like I wanted to go to Disney World and
I
Epcot and
haven't been
stuff.
to Disney
That
World. I
alone is
want to.
$500 for like 2, 3 days, like just for the ticket passes alone
Yeah, nothing else.
per
Like that
person.
doesn't like
Per
hotel.
person.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous. But it just shows to show like we live in this capitalist society and the ideas of the rich run the rest of us.
and they love the hustle culture. They love knowing the little worker bees are working hard. Okay, believe
Because
that.
without us doing that, they wouldn't be
Believe
getting
that.
their money. That's
Exactly.
why they have to keep us in this hustle culture because it helps them out. Doesn't help us out.
No, and as neurodivergents, we see that.
We see that.
We see that.
We see how we don't fit in, and being that sheep again allows you to step outside and say, I'm not a part of this. And if you
And I
don't,
don't want to be a part of
yeah, and
it.
that's what's really sad about neurotypicals or like, in general, if you're not a minority, if you're a majority, you do not see it's hard for you to see yourself because everybody else is a reflection of you. And so you're like, oh, well, I have to be like them.
That's true. That's very true.
And when you don't see yourself as everybody else, you're like, well, I'm not that.
Hmm.
So I'm going to
Or you
figure,
think something's wrong with them because they don't look like the rest of us.
well, when we get older, we figure out it's them, not us.
Right.
That's the problem. Well, that's the good thing, I guess. But, like, that leads me into like our breaking free. You break free from this actual hustle culture, and you do that through identifying your core values and what are
Hmm.
your more like what means the most to you, what
Like
feeds
at
your
your
authentic
core.
you. Yeah, what feeds your soul. Like if you can align with those things, like if you're into music, if you're into art, cooking, whatever you can do as a creative outlet, I really say you should put your all into whatever you did as a child. If you can't even think of anything, because most people just dissociate as their outlet these days. Because you're so wrapped up
Yeah.
and you're so exhausted you can't even think about it. But honestly, just think back to when you were a child. What did you do as a kid that you couldn't stop doing? And that's your creative outlet. That's at least one of them. And that's
Yeah.
your strongest one because that
Yes.
didn't die. That's still there. You just made it, you just put it away on a shelf.
Yeah.
And you break free from leaning into those where your passions are and where you're skillfully good at naturally.
Yeah.
Like I'm good at connecting with people and
Yeah.
talking with people,
Mhm.
but also skills I've engraved in myself is trying to make myself appeasable and how to connect with people. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? That is my skill, but it's
Yep.
also what I've worked at.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I was
Oh, I
but
get
then I
that.
look back and I was a natural people person as a child,
Yep.
but somehow that was beaten out of me, from society
Yep.
to mask and not be that just so friendly, authentic kid
Mhm.
because you get made fun of and you get put in your place and you're like, well, oh shit. Well, I can't do this, or else no, I'm not going to be accepted. But it made me it makes us the strong person we are today, and hopefully everyone can find healing in it because we've
Yeah.
all gone through in similar circumstances growing up where
Yeah.
we were able to hide our true selves without being uh, at the stake of being ridiculed by our peers. And
Which is
kids
so
are so cruel.
sad. Yeah, that's so sad. And honestly, I hate to say, a lot of times your first bullies are your parents. Not for everyone. There's great parents out there. But I even see it as an adult now, like with my, like I'm not gonna throw anyone under the bus, but like parents that just like I'm around at school or whatnot, and I just see like the way they treat their kids or the way they talk to their kids, and I'm like, oh, you're your child's first bully. That is insane.
Well, it's like if you're a very critical person and you're telling them to always high achieve and that that's not good enough or like you can do better, or even if it's wrapped in compliments, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? It can be very toxic positivity,
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, well, you could have done better. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But it's like those things are that first 7 years of life is your parents, and that becomes that voice inside your head that stems
Mm-hmm.
into your adulthood that's saying you're not good enough, this isn't right, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
And that's the voice we really have to reprogram and shut
It's like
up.
the voice of shame.
That's
That's where the shame comes
Yes,
from.
that's the ideas that we have to say, is this fact or fear based?
Yes. Is it fact or is it my parents talking?
Exactly. That it's their fear instilled into us unbeknownst to them. They try their best.
Oh, of
It's not
course.
saying anything against parents, because any parent is doing their best for their child, but you only know what you know. You can't help what you're ignorant to. It's same with us. We're only as good until we can figure out how to get better. And that only happens by being able to step aside and look at ourselves and say, turn that judgment inwards and say, okay, I have room to grow here. I don't like how I did this. I could be this better because I see this person being successful
Mhm.
and they do that and I
Yeah.
can do that.
Yeah.
And that first step starts there, just challenging the ideas of what it means to be you.
Yes, and take you back. Like
Yes.
stop giving your entire life and yourself and your passions and everything that you have. Stop giving that away just so you can survive. Unfortunately, in this day and age, like, of course, it's easy to say that. Most of us, like, we're kind of stuck in the rat race, but you can slowly get out. You can. You can. You
It
can.
does take a lot of people build up their wealth and then they make their move out, by you can be working and hopefully fall into a passion, or, work hard, save up money, and then go jump into a passion. You can always go back into what you were doing.
Or just like
You're already
unconventional
skilled. It's not like those
jobs.
skills disappear.
Right.
Like, go take a chance. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you've got a little nest egg and you can make it comfortable, try it, I would say.
Yeah.
Don't put yourself out there in your family or whatever and say, like, I'm going to go on tour. Maybe dip your toes in the water first or something. But there's definitely ways you can plan it out with your loved ones. I'm sure they're there to support you. And if they don't support you, maybe they're not the ones for you. You know what I mean? Your loved ones and your family should always be supportive of everything you do, as long as it is supportive of yourself and other people. I don't know, we can go into that more in family episodes, when you do take
Ooh,
others into
that'll
account,
be a
and compassion and
spicy episode.
consideration and all that good stuff too, because
Mm-hmm.
that's a whole other thing. But I do have a challenge for the audience. Like, audit your own patterns. Like, what is your hustle habits? Like, how do you
Toxic hustle habits.
Yeah, what
Like
is your
really look
mindset on
deep.
work and your life, and like how you enjoy life and how you enjoy work? And ask yourself, is this really suiting me anymore? Or is this where a lot of my angst and depression is stemming from?
Am I pursuing someone else's dream or am I living my dream? And if you have a hard time answering that, then I think you need to do
Exactly. You need to weigh
some
out what is
yeah.
most important to you and answer the question of what means most to me. Answer those
But like
core
honestly,
values.
yeah,
Like, if you
honestly.
can't answer your core values, you don't even know yourself. How do you know what you like? And don't answer like, oh, well, this is what I do, this is what I like, this is what I've always done. It's
Right.
like, well, then you're always going to feel this emptiness inside. So why not try something different and take it from people that have tried something different and find treasure on the other side of that rainbow, you know? And like really audit those
Occasionally some
patterns,
shit, but
mindsets, and commit to like a reset. Like, try to find something that you can improve that can help your mindset and help you in your day to day. Like, something that you are passionate about creatively, maybe something you can start feeding into on your time off. Maybe that will help you show up better into your job instead of just dissociating or going on vacation or, partying. Go feed into a creativity and a passion of yours and see how that makes you feel. Maybe that will open up a whole new set of doors that you have been like closed minded to.
right. Because we are taught, we are ingrained from birth that if it's not making you money, it's worthless. And so we leave all of those passions that don't make us money but make us happy and fulfilled. We leave all those in the past, in our childhood. Or
Exactly.
sometimes we never even have them. We don't even have them in childhood. That is what we need to focus on, and that's how you escape the rat race.
It is, and that's what I say. Like, it leads into people too. Like, don't pay
Mhm.
people mind if they're not paying your rent. Like, if they're not paying your bills, what are you paying them any mind? Who cares? Even your parents. Sometimes,
Right.
you know, it's like they can have an opinion. You can be respectful, but at the same time, thank you for your input.
Thank you. Now goodbye.
But I hope you guys subscribe, like us, share us with somebody that you think would really love us as well. You know, the more we grow, the more this show's going to grow and just get better and better and better. You know, our Instagrams, Chris_unmasked.
Kaylee Unmasked.
And then we've got the Unmasked Unchained podcast on Instagram and the Unmasked podcast at YouTube, which you're
No,
watching
the Instagram's unmasked.unchained.
now. Oh, yes. The Instagram's Unmasked Unchained. I wish I could get them all the same, but people have certain things on one Instagram or one thing and them on the other. So I was like, well, we'll figure
You'll
it out.
find us.
You'll find us. It's all linked.
Unmasked,
It's
Unchained
all linked.
something. You'll find us.
Yeah, and stay tuned for our next episode, which we haven't figured out what it's
Yeah,
going to
let us
be
know what we
yet.
should talk about.
Yes, I would love for a DM that you want to hear us talk about. What do you want us to shed light on, find some info, some tips and tricks on, something that you want to hear more about.
Or just like talk. Yeah. What do you want to know, hear? Like, yeah, let us know. We want to interact with you guys.
We do.
We want to
be
interact with
friends.
all three of you.
I think we have 10 subscribers.
That's great.
Yeah.
We want to interact with all 10 of you.
Yes, please interact with us because, you know, we're starting a community here, and the more we grow, the more we show, and the more people will feel maybe welcome to join as well.
Yeah, maybe we'll have 20 next week.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Hey, it's only been the first
week.
week.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
All right, till next time, guys. Later. Oh my God, we're doing so good.
Yeah.
All right.